If you ever thought pretending to be someone else could save your life for a moment, imagine what would happen if that lie made someone fall in love with you. And not just anyone, but the most powerful CEO in the city. Before we begin this unbelievable story, take 1 second to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this prove that sometimes the most awkward mistakes lead to the most unexpected love. It all started on a morning that felt completely ordinary to everyone in the city except for one person. Lina Malik, 23 years old, nervous, broke, and standing in front of a mirror in a wedding dress that wasn't even hers. Her hands were trembling. "Are you sure this will work?" she whispered. Her cousin Samira adjusted the veil and nodded quickly. "It has to work." The real bride ran away. "Lina, the guests are already arriving. If the families find out, it will be a scandal." Lina swallowed. "But I'm not even engaged to her." Samira sighed. "You're not marrying him for real. You just have to sit through the ceremony until we figure something out." Lina looked down at the dress again. She had come to the hotel that morning thinking she was just helping with wedding preparations. Now she was the substitute bride, and the groom wasn't just some random guy. He was marrying the most powerful woman in the city. A young CEO whose name made entire corporations nervous. Ariana Voss, 28 years old, cold, brilliant, and known for destroying anyone who lied to her, which meant Lina was about to lie to her face. Minutes later, the grand hall filled with music. Guests whispered excitedly as the bride entered. No one realized it wasn't the real one. Lina walked slowly down the aisle, trying not to trip over the dress. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. And then she saw Ariana for the first time, standing at the end of the aisle, tall, sharp-eyed. Wearing a perfectly tailored white suit instead of a dress, she looked powerful in a way that made the entire room feel smaller. Ariana's eyes locked onto Lina immediately. Something about that gaze made Lina's stomach flip. Not anger, not suspicion, just intense curiosity. The ceremony began. Words floated around Lina like distant echoes while her brain screamed the same sentence again and again. "This is a terrible idea." Halfway through the vows, Lina noticed something strange. Ariana wasn't looking at the priest. She was looking directly at Lina, studying her, as if she already knew something was wrong. Panic rushed through Lina's chest. If Ariana exposed her in front of everyone, this would turn into the biggest humiliation of her life. Her mind raced. She needed a way out, now. And then the most ridiculous idea in the history of bad decisions appeared in her head. The ceremony paused briefly while rings were prepared. Lina leaned toward Ariana slightly and whispered, I need a moment." Ariana raised an eyebrow. "For what?" Lina's face turned red. "It's a women's problem." Ariana blinked once. That was it. Just once. But Lina felt like the entire world stopped breathing. "I need the restroom," Lina added quickly. Without waiting for permission, she rushed out of the hall. The second the doors closed behind her, she leaned against the wall and exhaled. "Great job, Lina," she muttered. "You just told the most powerful CEO in the city. You have a women's problem." She hurried into the restroom and stared at her reflection. Then she saw the emergency basket on the counter. Inside were sanitary pads. Her eyes widened. A new idea formed. Not a smart idea, but a desperate one. She grabbed a pad, opened her small purse, and found a tiny bottle of ketchup left from breakfast sandwiches earlier. For a moment she stared at it. This is insane, but she did it anyway. A little ketchup. Just enough to look believable. Her plan was simple. Embarrass Ariana enough that the ceremony would be postponed. No wedding, no questions. Problem solved. 5 minutes later, Lina walked slowly back toward the hall, pretending to be uncomfortable. The ceremony paused again when she returned. The priest looked confused. "Everything all right?" Lina forced an awkward smile. I think we should postpone." Whispers spread through the room. Ariana stepped closer. "Why?" Lina leaned in and whispered again. "Because I started my period." The room went silent. Ariana's expression didn't change, not even slightly. Lina waited for embarrassment, for anger, for something. Instead, Ariana simply looked at her for a few seconds longer than normal. Then she said calmly, "We'll continue later." Gasps filled the hall. The ceremony ended immediately. Guests left confused. Families argued, chaos exploded around them, and Lina thought she had escaped. But she forgot one small detail. Cameras, security cameras, 30 minutes later, Lina quietly tried to leave the hotel through a back hallway. She almost made it, until a calm voice stopped her. "Interesting performance." Lina froze. Slowly turning around, she saw Ariana leaning against the wall with her arms crossed. The CEO's eyes were sharp. "You used ketchup," Ariana said. Lina's heart dropped into her stomach. "What?" Ariana held up a phone. "Security footage. The restroom. The ketchup bottle. Everything. You saw that?" Lina whispered. Ariana nodded. "Yes." Silence stretched between them. Lina prepared herself for screaming, or threats, or humiliation, but Ariana surprised her again. Instead of anger, she started laughing, not loudly, but genuinely. "You are the first person in years brave enough to lie to me like that." Lina stared at her. "I wasn't trying to lie to you. I was trying to stop the wedding." "I know." Ariana stepped closer. "And that's exactly why I'm not angry." Lina blinked. "You're not." "No." Ariana tilted her head slightly, studying her. "Actually, I'm impressed. That made absolutely no sense. You should be furious." "Probably," Ariana said calmly. "But instead I'm curious." "About what?" "About the girl who poured ketchup on a pad just to escape marrying me." For the first time since this nightmare began, Lina started laughing too. The tension between them softened. But Ariana's next words changed everything. "You caused quite a scandal today." "I'm sorry," Lina said quietly. Ariana looked at her for a long moment. Then she said something Lina never expected. "You owe me." Lina frowned. "Owe you what?" Ariana smiled slightly. "A solution." And suddenly, Lina realized the nightmare wasn't over. It had just begun, because Ariana Voss had an idea, a very dangerous idea. "Since everyone already believes we were about to marry," Ariana said slowly. Lina's eyes widened. "No, less. You cannot be serious." Ariana's smile grew just a little. "Pretend to be my bride for 1 month." Lina almost fainted. "That's insane." "Maybe. But why?" Ariana stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Because the board of my company thinks I'm unstable for canceling the wedding today. And if they remove me as CEO, thousands of employees lose their jobs." Lina's stomach twisted. "So you want me to fake marry you?" "Exactly." Lina stared at her like she had lost her mind. "This is the worst idea I've ever heard." Ariana shrugged calmly. "You already started the lie." Then she added softly, "Finish it with me." And somehow, that moment became the beginning of a story neither of them could control. Because sometimes the strangest lies create the most unexpected love, and Lina had no idea that the woman she tried to escape from with a fake period was about to become the most important person in her life. And Ariana had already decided one thing. The girl with the ketchup trick was the most interesting person she had ever met. And she wasn't planning to let her go. Ariana Voss stood in the quiet hallway of the hotel, arms crossed, watching Lina Malik like she was studying the most confusing puzzle she had ever seen. Lina still held her small purse tightly, as if she was ready to run at any moment. The air between them felt strange, half awkward, half electric. Lina couldn't believe the situation she had landed in. Just an hour ago, she was a girl helping prepare someone else's wedding. Now the most powerful CEO in the city was asking her to fake a marriage. Lina rubbed her forehead and laughed nervously. "You realize how insane this sounds, right?" Ariana's expression stayed calm. "I run a billion-dollar company. I deal with insane situations every day. That doesn't mean you should marry strangers." "I'm not marrying you," Ariana replied coolly. "We're pretending to be married." "That's worse." Ariana sighed slightly and stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Listen carefully. The board members of my company already believe I'm unstable. They've been waiting for an excuse to remove me as CEO for months. Today's canceled wedding gave them that excuse." Lina blinked. "So your solution is a fake wife?" "Yes. That's the worst business strategy I've ever heard. Actually," Ariana said calmly, "it's the simplest." Lina frowned, clearly confused. Ariana continued, "The board believes my marriage would stabilize the company's public image. Investors were expecting it. If the wedding disappears completely, they'll say I'm reckless. But if I present a wife, someone strong, someone unexpected, it proves I'm still in control." Lina stared at her. "And you think that someone is me?" Ariana nodded slowly. "The girl who used ketchup to fake her period during a wedding ceremony?" Lina asked. Ariana smiled faintly. Exactly that girl. Lina covered her face with both hands. This is unbelievable. 30 days, Ariana said calmly. Just 30 days. Pretend to be my wife. Attend a few public events. Smile for cameras. After that, we announce a mutual separation and go back to normal life. Lina lowered her hands slowly. And if I say no? Ariana shrugged. Then I'll still admire your creativity, but my company might fall apart. The silence stretched again. Lina's brain raced. She wasn't rich. She worked 2 part-time jobs. Her rent was overdue. Her cousin's wedding disaster was already going to cause trouble in the family, and now a billionaire CEO was asking her to pretend to be her wife. Life had officially lost its mind. What's in it for me? Lina finally asked. Ariana raised an eyebrow. Straight to negotiation. I like that. I'm serious. Ariana thought for a moment. $300,000. Lina choked on air. Do you half now? Half when the month ends.
That's insane money.
For a very insane job, Ariana replied. Lina paced the hallway, trying to process everything. 30 days. Fake marriage. $300,000. Her entire life could change, but something still bothered her. Why me? She asked quietly. Ariana looked at her for a moment before answering. Because you didn't treat me like a CEO. What does that mean? You panicked. You lied. You tried to escape. Everyone else in my world pretends to respect me while secretly fearing me. Her voice softened slightly. You were honest enough to be ridiculous. Lina blinked. That might have been the strangest compliment she had ever heard. So, Ariana asked, deal? Lina looked at her carefully. There was power in Ariana's posture, confidence in her voice, but also something else, loneliness, a strange quiet loneliness. Lina sighed. I must be the stupidest person alive. Ariana tilted her head. Is that a yes? Lina groaned. Less. For the first time since they met, Ariana smiled properly, not the controlled business smile. A real one. Excellent. Lina immediately regretted everything. 2 hours later, Lina sat inside the back seat of Ariana's black luxury car, staring out the window as the city passed by. Her brain still couldn't accept what was happening. So where are we going? She asked. My home. Your mansion, you mean? Technically, yes. Lina sighed dramatically. Of course you live in a mansion. When the car finally stopped, Lina stepped out and froze. The house was enormous, glass walls, modern architecture, beautiful gardens. It looked less like a home and more like a luxury resort. People actually live here, Lina whispered. Ariana walked past her calmly. You will too. Inside, the house was even more impressive. Tall ceilings, marble floors, art pieces everywhere. Lina walked slowly through the living room like she had entered a museum. I'm afraid to touch anything. Ariana sat on the sofa and crossed her legs. You'll get used to it. A woman in a black suit approached them. Ariana, the board meeting is tomorrow morning. Lina looked at her. And you are? My assistant, Ariana said. The assistant looked at Lina curiously. And this is? Ariana answered without hesitation. My wife. The assistant nearly dropped her tablet. Lina nearly fainted. Lina whispered loudly. Ariana leaned closer. You agreed. That doesn't mean you should announce it like that. The assistant blinked repeatedly, trying to process the situation. Ariana continued calmly. Prepare a public announcement. My marriage is confirmed. The assistant nodded slowly and walked away in shock. Lina turned toward Ariana. This is happening way too fast. Ariana shrugged. That's business. That night, Lina couldn't sleep. The guest bedroom alone was bigger than her entire apartment. She stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything. Fake marriage, luxury house, powerful CEO, and somehow she didn't feel scared, just curious. The next morning, chaos exploded. News channels across the city announced the surprise marriage. Photos from the interrupted wedding flooded social media. Headlines appeared everywhere. The CEO's secret bride. Who is Lina Malik? Wedding scandal turns into love story. Lina stared at her phone in horror. Oh no. Downstairs, Ariana watched the news calmly while drinking coffee. Lina rushed into the kitchen. You turned my life into a reality show. Ariana glanced at the screen. Public interest is good for the company. I'm trending on the internet. Congratulations. This is not congratulations. Ariana almost laughed. Almost, but then her phone rang. Her expression changed immediately. The board, she said quietly. She answered the call. Yes, silence. Lina watched her carefully. Ariana's face stayed calm, but her fingers tightened around the phone. I understand, she said. Another pause. Then see you at the meeting. She ended the call. What happened? Lina asked. Ariana looked at her seriously. They're furious. That sounds bad. It is. But the marriage helps? Ariana nodded slowly. Yes, it buys us time. Lina leaned against the counter. Well, at least my catch-up plan helped a little. For the first time that morning, Ariana laughed. A soft, genuine laugh. You have no idea how much. Over the next few days, their strange arrangement began to feel almost normal. They attended business dinners, public interviews, charity events. Lina quickly realized something surprising. Ariana Voss was feared by everyone in the business world, but at home she was different, quite thoughtful, sometimes even shy. One evening they sat on the balcony overlooking the city lights. Lina sipped tea while Ariana read company reports. After a long silence, Lina asked a question. Why did your real bride run away? Ariana paused, her eyes lowered slightly. She didn't run away. Then what happened? She loved someone else. Lina blinked. That's painful. Ariana shrugged. Business marriages rarely involve love. Lina studied her face carefully. Did you love her? Ariana didn't answer. The silence itself was the answer. Lina felt a strange ache in her chest. For the first time she realized something important. Behind the powerful CEO was a woman who had been hurt, and somehow, Lina had accidentally walked into her life at the exact moment everything was falling apart. What neither of them realized yet was that the fake marriage slowly turning into something neither of them planned, because the girl who once tried to escape with a ridiculous catch-up trick was starting to become the one person Ariana trusted the most. And Ariana Voss was a woman who almost never trusted anyone. But the biggest challenge was still coming, because someone inside Ariana's company had already begun investigating Lina Malik, and when the truth about the fake bride started coming out, their fragile arrangement would face its first real danger. And this time, even ketchup wouldn't save them. The next morning started quietly, but that quiet didn't last long. Lina woke up earlier than usual in the massive guest bedroom that still didn't feel real to her. Sunlight slipped through the tall glass windows, painting soft gold across the marble floor. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then reality hit her like a falling brick. Fake marriage, CEO wife, 30-day contract. And somehow her face was now trending all over the internet. She groaned and buried her face in the pillow. Great job, Lina. You lied once and now you're famous. Downstairs, Ariana was already awake. She sat at the long dining table with a tablet in front of her, scrolling through financial reports while drinking black coffee. Her posture was perfectly straight, calm and controlled like always, but something in her eyes looked sharper today. When Lina entered the kitchen wearing an oversized sweater, Ariana glanced up. You're awake. Lina opened the refrigerator like she actually belonged there. I couldn't sleep, she muttered. That will happen when the internet is obsessed with you. Lina grabbed a bottle of orange juice and poured a glass. You say that like it's normal. In my world it is. Lina sat across from her and took a sip. Then she noticed something strange. Ariana wasn't reading business reports anymore. She was staring at Lina. What? Lina asked. Ariana looked thoughtful. You're adapting surprisingly fast. To what? To pretending. Lina laughed quietly. I'm not pretending to eat breakfast. That's not what I meant. Silence settled between them again. For a strange moment, the huge mansion felt small, comfortable, almost peaceful. But that peace shattered when Ariana's assistant rushed inside the room. Her face looked tense. Ariana, we have a problem. Ariana set her coffee down slowly. What kind of problem? The board has scheduled an emergency meeting today. That's not unusual. The assistant hesitated. They're bringing outside investigators. Lina frowned. Investigators. Ariana's expression didn't change, but her eyes darkened slightly. They're trying to dig into my personal life. Ariana said calmly. Lina's stomach twisted. They're investigating me. Most likely. The assistant nodded. Someone on the board believes the marriage happened too quickly. Lina suddenly felt very small in that giant kitchen. What if they find out everything? She asked quietly. Ariana leaned back in her chair. They won't. You sound very confident. I am. Why? Ariana stood up slowly. Because we're going to make this marriage look real. Lina blinked. Real how? Ariana walked toward her and gently took Lina's hand. The contact surprised Lina. Like this, Ariana said softly. Lina felt her face warm immediately. You're enjoying this way too much. Maybe. Just then the assistant cleared her throat awkwardly. There's also another issue. Ariana looked at her. What now? One of the board members has already hired a private investigator. Lina's heart dropped. A private investigator. The assistant nodded, and he's already looking into Lina's background. For the first time since this arrangement started, Ariana looked genuinely serious. That meant danger. Who hired him? Ariana asked quietly. The assistant hesitated. Daniel Crow. The name hung in the air like a storm cloud. Lina looked between them. Who's Daniel? Ariana's jaw tightened slightly. My biggest rival. Elena sighed. Of course you have a villain. He's not a villain, Ariana replied calmly. He's ambitious. That sounds like a villain. Ariana almost smiled. But inside her mind, she already knew what Daniel Crow was capable of, and if he discovered the truth about Lina, everything could collapse. Later that afternoon, Ariana's black car stopped in front of the towering glass building that held the headquarters of her company. Lina stared up at it. This place is huge. Welcome to my battlefield, Ariana said quietly. Inside the building, employees whispered as they walked past. Some stared openly, others pretended not to. Lina heard fragments of conversations. That's her. The new wife. She's younger than I expected. Lina leaned closer to Ariana as they walked. I feel like a zoo animal. Ariana whispered back. Smile. Why? Because cameras are everywhere. Lina forced a smile. Great. The boardroom sat on the top floor. When the doors opened, 8 board members sat around the long table. Most of them looked serious. One of them looked amused. Daniel Crow. He leaned back in his chair with a confident smirk. He was tall, sharply dressed, and carried himself with the kind of arrogance that instantly annoyed Lina. So this is the famous wife, he said slowly. Lina didn't like him already. Ariana spoke calmly. This meeting is about company performance, Daniel, not my marriage. Daniel smiled wider. Your marriage affects the company's stability. He looked directly at Lina. Especially when it appears so suddenly. Lina crossed her arms. Love can be surprising. Daniel laughed softly. I'm sure it can. Ariana placed a hand lightly on Lina's back. The small gesture felt protective. Then Daniel dropped his first bomb. I hired someone to verify a few details. Lina's heart skipped. About what? Ariana asked. About your wife. The room went silent. Daniel continued speaking slowly. After all, it's strange that a billionaire CEO marries a woman with almost no digital history. Lina felt cold. Daniel leaned forward. So tell me, Lina Malik, where exactly did you come from? For a moment Lina almost panicked, but then something unexpected happened. She remembered Ariana's words. Smile, be confident. So Lina smiled brightly. I come from the real world. Daniel blinked slightly. Excuse me, I worked 2 jobs, Lina continued. Paid rent, worried about bills, helped my family. Not everyone grows up surrounded by corporate meetings. A few board members exchanged looks. Daniel studied her carefully. And somehow you captured Ariana Voss's heart. Lina shrugged. You'd have to ask your CEO. All eyes turned toward Ariana. Ariana looked completely calm. She makes me laugh, Ariana said simply. The room fell quiet again. Daniel's smile faded slightly. He didn't expect that answer, but he wasn't finished. Oh, I will ask, he said softly. Because something about this marriage feels suspicious. Ariana stood up slowly. Her presence filled the room instantly. If you're accusing me of lying to the board, she said calmly, say it directly. Daniel held her gaze. I'm simply asking questions. Then ask them to my lawyers. The tension in the room thickened. Finally, one of the older board members cleared his throat. That's enough. The meeting continued after that, but the damage had already begun. Daniel Crow now suspected everything, and he wasn't the kind of man who stopped once he smelled a secret. That evening, Lina and Ariana returned home in silence. The moment they stepped inside the mansion, Lina collapsed onto the couch. I hate that guy. Ariana loosened her jacket. So do I. He's definitely investigating me. Yes, are we doomed? Ariana looked at her for a long moment. Then she sat beside her, closer than usual. "No," Ariana said quietly. "Why not?" "Because he underestimated you." Lina blinked. "Yes." Ariana smiled slightly. "You handled that room better than half my executives." Lina laughed tiredly. "I was just trying not to faint." Still effective. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then Lina noticed something. Ariana was still looking at her, not like a CEO studying a partner, something softer, warmer. Lina felt her heartbeat quicken. "You're staring again," Lina said. Ariana didn't look away. "I know." Ariana hesitated, which was rare for her. Finally she answered quietly, "Because you make this house feel less empty." Lina didn't know what to say. The air between them shifted again. Something deeper, more personal, and for the first time since the fake marriage began. Lina wondered something dangerous. What if the feelings starting to grow between them weren't fake at all? But across the city, Daniel Crowe sat in his office looking through a thick file. Inside it were photos, documents, background checks, and one detail caught his attention. He smiled slowly. Well, because the investigation had just uncovered something shocking about Lina Malik's past, something that could destroy Ariana's reputation overnight. And Daniel Crowe was already planning exactly how to use it. The real war was only beginning, and the fake bride who once used ketchup to escape a wedding was about to face the most dangerous chapter of her life. That night the mansion felt heavier than usual. The lights of the city shimmered outside the tall windows, but inside Ariana's home there was an uncomfortable silence. Lina sat on the couch hugging a pillow while Ariana stood near the window looking down at the dark streets below. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Both were thinking about the same thing, Daniel Crowe. Finally Lina broke the silence. "So, if that guy finds something bad about me, what happens?" Ariana didn't turn around. "He'll try to use it against me. And the board. They'll try to remove me as CEO." Lina exhaled slowly. "So basically I could destroy your entire company." Ariana finally turned toward her. "No, but you didn't create this situation." Ariana said calmly, "Daniel has wanted my position for years. You're just the opportunity he was waiting for." Lina looked down at the pillow in her arms. Still, guilt crawled inside her chest. She had entered Ariana's life by accident. But now that accident could ruin everything Ariana had built. The next morning the storm finally arrived. Lina woke up to dozens of missed calls on her phone. News notifications, messages. Her heart immediately started pounding. Oh no. She opened the first article. Her face went pale. Local woman with mysterious past marries billionaire CEO. She opened the next headline. Who is Lina Malik? Secrets from her past revealed. Her hands started shaking. Downstairs Ariana was already watching the news on the television. Every channel was showing the same story. Photos of Lina, documents, old records. And a voice from the reporter echoed across the room. "Our investigation reveals that Lina Malik once worked for a small company that was involved in a financial scandal 5 years ago." Helena slowly walked into the living room. "I can explain," she said quietly. Ariana muted the television and looked at her. "Then explain." Lina took a deep breath. "I worked as an assistant at a small accounting firm when I was 18. Ariana listened carefully. "The company was accused of fraud." Lina continued. "But I didn't do anything. I was just an employee." Ariana nodded slowly. "I believe you. But the news won't." Lina sat down heavily on the couch. "They're saying I'm a criminal." "You weren't charged. That doesn't matter to the internet." For a moment Ariana looked thoughtful. Then her phone rang. It was the board again. She answered calmly. "Yes." The voice on the other side was loud enough that Lina could hear it from across the room. "Ariana, what is going on? The news is exploding." Ariana stayed calm. "My wife has done nothing illegal." "That's not what the headlines say. Headlines are not facts." The voice on the phone sounded angry. "We're calling an emergency board vote tonight." Ariana's eyes hardened slightly. "For what?" "To discuss your leadership." The call ended. The silence that followed felt heavy. Lina stood up slowly. "This is my fault." Ariana shook her head. "No, Wes, it is." Lina walked toward the door. "What are you doing?" Ariana asked. "I'm leaving." Ariana frowned. "That won't fix anything." "Less it will." Lina turned toward her. "If I disappear, the story dies." That's not how media works. But it will give them less reason to attack you. Ariana stepped closer. You're part of this now. I never wanted to be. The words came out louder than Lina expected. Tears filled her eyes. I was just trying to help my cousin's wedding. And now I'm destroying your life. For the first time since they met, Ariana looked genuinely upset. You didn't destroy anything. Lina shook her head. I should go before things get worse. She grabbed her bag and walked toward the door. But Ariana moved quickly. She caught Lina's wrist gently. Don't go. The words were soft, almost vulnerable. Lina looked at her. Why? Ariana hesitated. That hesitation alone said a lot. Finally, she spoke quietly. Because this house will feel empty again. Lina's heart skipped. The tension between them suddenly felt different. More personal, more real. You hired me for a job, Lina said softly. That job is almost over. Ariana looked directly into her eyes. No, Lina frowned. What do you mean? I don't want the job to end. The words hung in the air. Lina felt her breath catch. Why? Ariana took a moment before answering. Because Ariana Voss had built an entire career on control, power, confidence. But this moment was different. I thought our marriage was just a strategy, Ariana said quietly. But you changed something. Alina whispered. What did I change? Ariana's voice softened. You silence filled the room. Then Ariana said something she had never said to anyone before. I think I'm falling in love with you. Lina's heart nearly stopped. For a moment she couldn't speak. This was supposed to be fake. A contract, 30 days. Nothing real. But suddenly it didn't feel fake anymore. Ariana, Lina whispered. Before she could finish, the television behind them suddenly turned back on with breaking news. The reporter's voice filled the room again. Daniel Crowe has released new evidence claiming that Ariana Voss's marriage is a fraud designed to manipulate investors. Both women turned toward the screen. A video clip appeared. It was security footage from the hotel, the restroom hallway. Lina holding the ketchup bottle. Her face went white. I found it, she whispered. Daniel Crowe's voice followed on the broadcast. This so-called marriage started with a lie. The public deserves to know the truth. Ariana turned off the television again. The damage was done. Lina felt tears forming. It's over, she said quietly. Ariana remained calm.
No.
But the proof is right there. Ariana walked to the center of the room. Her expression was sharper now. Focused, like a general preparing for battle. He thinks he's winning, she said. But he made a mistake. Lina wiped her eyes. What mistake? Ariana smiled slightly. He underestimated you. A few hours later the board meeting began. The room was filled with tension. Daniel Crowe looked confident, almost victorious. When Ariana and Lina entered the room together, everyone turned toward them. Daniel smirked. Well, the famous couple. Ariana didn't respond. Instead, she connected a flash drive to the large screen behind the table. What is this? Daniel asked. Your mistake, Ariana replied calmly. The screen lit up with new footage. Not the catch-up video, something else. Daniel's smile slowly faded. The footage showed Daniel meeting secretly with a group of investors, offering them confidential company information. Illegal information. Gasps filled the room. Ariana spoke calmly. While you were busy investigating my marriage, I was investigating you. Daniel stood up.
This is ridiculous.
Is it? Ariana said. Another document appeared on the screen. Bank transfers, secret deals, evidence of corporate betrayal. The board members looked furious. Daniel realized too late what had happened. He had exposed himself. Security escorted him out of the room within minutes. The board vote that night ended differently than anyone expected. Ariana Voss remained CEO, and Daniel Crowe's career collapsed. Later that night, the mansion was quiet again. But this time the silence felt peaceful. Lina stood on the balcony looking at the city lights. You won, she said softly. Ariana stepped beside her. We won. Lina smiled slightly. So what happens now? Ariana looked at her. Well, technically our contract still has 2 weeks left. Lina laughed. Right. The fake marriage. Ariana tilted her head slightly. It doesn't have to stay fake. Lina's heart raced again. You're serious? Ariana nodded. I've spent my entire life building a company. She looked at Lina gently. But you're the first person who made me feel like my life could be more than work. Lina stepped closer. You're the most terrifying woman I've ever met. Ariana smiled. And yet you poured ketchup on a pad to escape marrying me. Lina laughed. That was a terrible plan. Actually, Ariana said softly, it was the best accident that ever happened to me. Lina looked into her eyes. And now, Ariana reached for her hand. Now we stop pretending. Lina squeezed her hand gently, and under the quiet glow of the city lights, the fake marriage that started with a ridiculous lie finally became something real. Sometimes the strangest beginnings create the most beautiful endings, and sometimes a girl with a ketchup bottle changes the life of the most powerful CEO in the city. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because the next story might surprise you even more.